Hey everyone, today I'll be discussing President Richard Nixon's war on drugs, one of the most impactful domestic policies of the 20th century. We'll explore its origins, what policies were enacted, and the legacy it left behind, particularly its role in shaping the U.S. criminal justice system. I'm Adrian Rodriguez, and this is my presentation on Nixon's war on drugs. To understand Nixon's approach, we need to look at the 1970s. This was a time of enormous social change, the civil rights movement, anti-war protests, and the rise of counterculture. Drug use, particularly among the youth and Vietnam veterans, was increasingly visible. Nixon, seeking to appeal what he called the silent majority, used law and order to promise a return to stability. In June 1971, Nixon officially declared drug abuse public enemy number one. This marked the beginning of what he called the war on drugs. His administration committed significant federal resources to combat drug trafficking and drug use, treating it not only as a criminal issue, but as a matter of national security. Nixon's policies were wide-ranging. One of the biggest was the creation of the Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA. In 1973, this centralized drug law enforcement. He increased funding for police and pushed for harsher penalties. Interestingly, early on, he also supported treatment programs, such as the methadone clinics for heroin addiction. But over time, the focus shifted heavily towards criminalization. Later, evidence including an infamous interview with Nixon aide John Ehrlichman, the man on the PowerPoint, suggests that the war on drugs may have had political motives. Ehrlichman claimed that targeting drugs was a way to disrupt black communities and anti-war activists without explicitly mentioning race or ideology. Whether or not you accept that claim, it's clear that the policy disproportionately affected certain groups. One of the most lasting consequences of Nixon's drug policy was a sharp rise in incarceration rates. While the war on drugs intensified under later presidents, Nixon laid the groundwork. Drug arrests, especially for nonviolent possession, skyrocketed. The burden fell hardest on the Black and Latino communities, despite similar or lower rates of drug use compared to white Americans. Critics argue that the war on drugs failed in its main goals. It didn't significantly reduce drug use or availability. Instead, it led to mass incarceration, strained communities, and an expensive punitive system. Nixon's approach paved the way for harsher drug laws in the 1980s and the 90s. Today, there's a growing push for reforms, including decriminalization and treatment-based alternatives. To conclude my presentation, Nixon's war on drugs marked a major shift in American domestic policy. While it began as a response to growing concern about drug use, it ended up reshaping our law enforcement and justice systems. It also left a legacy of racial disparity and mass incarceration that we're still dealing with today. As we rethink our drug policies in the 21st century, understanding this is extremely crucial to our social history. Thanks so much for listening to my presentation. Here are my sources.